Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to CIP, our first meeting for the 26-27 budget, Capital Improvement Program Committee. I'm Stacy Novitz. I'm the Director of Finance. I work for both the town and the Board of Ed, and CIP pretty much starts in our office. So we'll be a big resource throughout all of these meetings. I am going to have Kristen Bartosik peek her head in. She's sitting in front of me, but she's very important.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Kristen. I work with Stacy in the finance office. I'm very involved in the CIP and the town budget and school budget, I should say, the budget process. So if you have any questions or need anything, always feel free to reach out as well.
Huge resource to everybody. Okay, and then I don't know if you all want to take a quick minute to introduce yourselves, I guess. You probably all know each other.
I'll start.
Okay.
Jen Gordon, Board of Selectmen
I told
member.
you, see, it's not working. Can you help? I'm gonna go play basketball. So how does this, why is it not working?
No. Yeah, I have.
Someone's talking, but not to us, I think.
Who has a child going to play basketball? Emily does.
Okay.
What?
Okay.
They must be having a cross connection with headphones or something.
Okay, so Al, do you want to go next? Do you want me to?
Good evening, everybody. I'm Al Goldberg, and along with Jen, I'm here representing the Board of Selectmen.
Okay. Bob Donahue.
Good evening, everyone. Bob Donahue. I am a representative on the Board of Finance.
John Mueller.
Hello to everyone. As Bob, I'm been a member of the Board of Finance for a year now, and I'm a new representative to this committee.
Galen.
Good day, everybody. I'm Galen Cawley on the Board of Education.
Is Emily back?
Yes, she is.
Oh, Emily.
I'm here. Technical difficulties.
Okay. Also Board of Education. And then Laura.
Yep, I'm the Board of Finance public member.
Perfect. And then we have two new members. Welcome, Janet.
Hi, Janet Nicolini. I'm the Board of Selectmen public member. Glad to be here.
Welcome. And Jessica.
Good evening. I'm Jessica Joseph.
Awesome. I think I covered everybody. Okay, so welcome everybody. Let the fun begin. I have the agenda up. So I would love to pass the torch if we want to talk about discussing and taking action on a CIP committee chairperson.
I would like to nominate the senior member representative from the Board of Finance, Bob Donahue, to serve as their chair.
Do we have a second? No second?
I
What
can
do I do?
second for myself if that's allowable. I'm not sure what the rules of order are on CIP.
What's the rules of order? I would think you can do it. Okay. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed?
I'm so,
Oh,
yeah,
I
I'm
was
sorry,
gonna vote.
Stacy.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Stacy, you might want to ask if there are any other nominations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't.
One question though, do the public members vote here or no?
No, sorry. It is the 6 board members. But you'll have plenty of opportunity for your
No,
input.
I was just wondering if this was a
Okay.
voting question or not.
Gotcha. Okay, so Al, you're telling me I should ask if there are any other nominations?
Yes.
Okay, are
Yes.
there any? No?
Well, Stacy, just to jump in for a moment, since we've nominated Bob and he's been seconded, it's now time for discussion. And I would just like to ask a question. If you could just give an overview of what the job is and what the chairperson is expected to do in a brief fashion, because I'm like Bob, I'm completely new to this.
Yeah, I mean, I would say they pretty much take over, run through the agendas, pretty much just move things along in the agendas that I can think of, can represent the committee at the public hearing. We do have a public hearing coming up this Wednesday. If whoever the chair does not want to do that, I can certainly do it this round, but there will be another opportunity at the end for a second public hearing. So honestly, I think it's really about just moving the meetings along and I don't know, filtering questions maybe to our office.
How are the agendas generated? Who decides what's on the agenda?
Yeah, so did we send out the calendar? We did.
Yep.
Yeah, so on the calendar, that pretty much spells out how the workshops work. We'll have our first public hearing on Wednesday, and then we have meetings every Monday and Wednesday. The way it's set up right now, and we'll vote on this next, is every Monday night at 5 o'clock, and then Wednesday morning at 7:30. That's when we'll have the meetings from December 15th until the end of January. We will have the individual departments come in. We took a stab at trying to fit all of those departments in on each meeting so that you can all ask questions. We can go through the document. And then after that, on January 21st and 26th, we have an overall committee working session where we could take all of that vetting and all of those discussions and look at the overall bigger picture of CIP. And then eventually we'll present that to the public on January 27th. And then if there are any changes after that public hearing, we will reconvene for one last time on January 28th. And that's a committee's portion of the timeline. Then the document will be produced by our office, move forward to the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance during the budget workshop to look at operating as well as the CIP that the committee move forward.
Stacy, is it fair to say that you actually set the agenda for us?
We do. Kristen does.
I do, Al.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John, I don't know whether that answered your question, but
yeah, and it really is.
No, since that does answer the question. Thank you. As a newbie here, I just want to get a little more clarity about how the process worked.
And historically, that's what we've done. I mean, we're open to changes or other ideas, but it's worked, having the individual departments come out. And like I said, Kristen did kind of put them in time slots. So you'll see that on the calendar. But the chair usually just moves a meeting along, and it's small agendas. It's really a lot of discussion.
Is it possible I have a conflict every other Monday with my boss, an actual 4:30 to 5:30 meeting that is mandatory for all his direct reports. So is 5 o'clock on Monday an absolute, or could that be 5:30, or could that be a different day? Otherwise, I'll try to make another arrangement. I'll figure it out. But
okay. If you don't mind, Janet, if we can finish up the chair and then we could talk about, maybe
Sure.
changing the 5 o'clock to 5:30. But if we can just finish up item 1 and then we could talk about that. So do we have any other nominations, or are we going to move forward with a vote for Bob? Oh. Okay. Now all in favor, Al?
That's time. Thank you, Stacy.
Al, Bob, Jen. Emily?
Yes. Aye.
Galen? With everybody? John.
Aye.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
John Mueller.
I agree.
Okay.
Aye. Bob?
Okay, so I think that's everybody. So motion passes.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Al.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Jess.
All right, Bob, you're up.
So I guess we move on to
Congratulations,
item
Bob.
number 2, which
Yep.
is to discuss and take action to approve the CIP committee meeting schedule. And it sounds as though someone's already brought up discussion regarding some conflicts. So it's my understanding that the agenda that was sent out with the dates that have already been put in the document itself are amenable. And so we can discuss that now and come up with maybe either different times or dates. Or Stacy, how exactly amenable is this time? The Mondays or the Wednesdays and the other dates that people have brought up?
Yeah, we haven't really heard of any other conflicts. We tried to keep it one at evening, one in the morning. I mean, if we wanted to keep at the schedule, we could do a 5:30 versus a 5 o'clock on our end. We're pretty flexible, so
You're not on Tuesdays. That's kind of why we're Monday, Wednesday.
we're not on Tuesday.
You aren't on Tuesdays because of Board of Ed budget. Like you'd
Oh.
rather stay on Monday, Wednesday.
Okay. Yeah, so Monday and Wednesday work best for us, but if you all have a different preference, we can certainly talk and look at our calendars.
Janet, could you again tell us what your conflict is exactly?
Yes.
What the dates and times that are conflicted?
So I work full time and I have a standing bi-weekly all hands meeting with my boss with all of his direct reports. So it's not just a meeting with me and him, so I cannot have him change that. So that's my conflict, is I wouldn't be able to get here till 5:30 every other Monday.
So maybe we can then go through like which of the Mondays there are conflicts for you, Janet, and just adjust those particular ones. Does that sound okay?
Sure.
Because they're not, if you have the meeting every other, maybe it won't always.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah, so it
it's
looks
next
like-
week. It's next week on the 20th. Sorry, hold on.
Can you guys
Yeah,
see
but-
the calendar?
It's next Monday on the 15th. And then so it's the 15th, the 29th.
We don't need the 29th.
So the 15th, you have a conflict. Do you have a conflict on Monday, the 5th of January?
No.
Okay. And then do you have a conflict on Monday, the 12th of January?
Yes.
Okay. And then the Monday, the
And then,
26th?
Monday the 19th, there's no conflict. Monday the 26th, there is.
Okay.
So it's every other Monday.
So there's
the
three.
15th, there's 3 Mondays, the 15th of December, the 12th, and the 26th of January are the conflicts for you, Janet.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, okay, sorry, yes.
And the 29th of December too.
I don't think we're meeting that day.
Oh, okay. So yes, then just the 15th, the 12th, and the 26th.
She wants it 5:30.
And
So
what
if
was
we
the
did-
time?
If we
I
did
could-
5:30?
I could join by Zoom at 5:30.
Okay.
Yeah, no conflict with moving those dates to a 5:30 start on my end.
Not mine either.
Same.
Thank you so much, everyone.
So it sounds like this universal, we can make the change for all those dates to 5:30?
Mhm.
Excellent.
Just those
Okay.
3 dates though, right?
Yes.
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 Okay,
Were there
Stacy,
any other
Will you send out a revised list?
Of course, yep.
Thank you.
Are we just need to vote on this.
Were there any other changes or recommendations that anyone had or conflicts they wanted to discuss? Okay, then all in favor of the amended schedule
I
would say aye.
Aye.
Looks like there's none opposed then as well. Okay, excellent. Thank you for being able to make the changes for us and send that out as well, Stacy. Appreciate that. Item number 3 is CIP 101. I did have the opportunity to get the chance to meet with Stacy myself, and she was able to do a really great overview of CIP, the background, the information that is definitely something that's valuable for all of us to have. I know that she wanted to have some time during our meeting to do the same session. And so I will turn it over to Stacy so that she can begin this presentation for us.
Okay. I don't have to go through all the details. I can do as much or as little as you all want me to. I do think the beginning part of the book will be helpful. I don't know if we have to go through all the tabs. We could decide as we're going along. But if I can walk you just through the first couple of tabs. Do you all have your hard copy of the book?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Do the pages coincide with the book? Hopefully. Okay. Okay, let's see. Yep. So the first item in the document is the actual first select woman's submission letter. And this letter is a perfect, great summary of everything that is in your document. She goes through in detail everything going on, what's the bigger items that are happening within town, as well as addressing some of the priorities in the document itself. So I do, if anything, this letter will really give you a summary of what we're about to look at in the document. So after the letter, if you go to the first tab in your book, that is the actual capital improvement program regulation. Sorry, I went too fast. Okay, so this is pretty much spells out what the CIP, what the capital improvement program is. It also lists somewhat responsibilities of the committee and what the committee is expected to do, and it also highlights the timeline, pretty much what I had said before. So if you read this and you have any questions, certainly reach out. But I think I'm on the page where we're starting to talk about how we try to prioritize projects within the program. And then the actual process as well as the timeline is in this tab. I don't know if anybody had any questions, if you even had a chance to look at it yet, but certainly let us know.
Stacy, what is the DRA? Stacy, what's the DRA study that Peggy refers to in her letter? There's a comment made about the Emergency Operations Center, and it said that the permanent home was to be established for the town's Emergency Operations Center, identified as an important need in the DRA study. I'm not familiar with the DRA study.
That was a town-wide study that we did. What was it, 2020? 2021. It's a big study. We have copies of it. We can certainly provide you, but it looked at all the buildings in town and prioritized and identified needs. Not only new items, but mostly like maintenance items and large capital needs within our buildings, facilities.
Okay, thank you.
You'll see that DRA study referenced a lot. Okay. Any questions on the regulation today? You could always come back. Okay, so the next tab, this is where all of the summary pages are. So all of the other tabs all pull up to this tab. So there's a few, can you guys see that? Is it big enough?
Yeah.
You also
Yes.
have it in your book.
Yes.
Okay, so this first tab pretty much takes every single capital project that are in all of the other tabs in your document, and it breaks it down by department. It really is just an overall summary of how the projects fall within individual departments. The beach and rec, education, general government, you can see it's just, we kind of condensed into these 7 categories. These are expenditures for the 5 years that are coming out of the fund. This is important because this is not what we're putting into the fund. So we have all of these individual capital projects, and when you vote on the budget every year, we vote on how much money is going into the capital improvement program, but this is what's coming out of the capital improvement program by year, or anticipated by year. It's important to highlight that we focus on 26, 27. Those are the projects that will happen, that will be approved as we go through the budget process. Years 2 through 5 are more of a planning tool, subject to change. In a perfect world, it'll all happen at those amounts at that time, but we all know that it absolutely will change, but it is really part of the whole planning process that CIP is all about.
Stacy,
So that's it.
What is the general government for $5 million? What was that?
That is in this current fiscal year. Is that the EOC? No. What is the general government? Hang on. The big was a Madison Hose building. So that was the addition over at the Madison Hose Firehouse. That is the gross amount. So this top part is a gross amount of the actual how much a project is going to cost. But down here, you can see this is how we're paying for all of these projects. So if you look at the lower half of this page, you could see grants of 2.471. That is all for that project. So even though the gross cost is over 5 million, we are funding a portion of that project by almost $2.5 million in grants. So that will happen. Did someone have a question?
No, I just said thank you. Sorry.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. It's so hard on Zoom, plus it's a little delayed. So the bottom part is where you're going to see how we're paying for this gross amount of the project. You'll see grants that are offset. And again, in the individual tabs, you'll see where those grants apply, where they are and what project they offset. And then also donations, that 200,000 in the first column, that was a donation from the fire hose company towards that project as well. So both of those are going towards that $5 million question that you had, Janet. The rest will be coming out of capital project fund balances. So all the money that we're putting in, we're assuming that that's how we're going to be paying for the projects that are included up above. Is that good? Okay. So next page, to me, this is probably, if it was up to me, I would have this page first. This is our annual capital budget. So this is what we actually go to referendum for to get money to put into the CIP, and it's broken out by capital project funds. So each one of these capital project funds has a tab. So the ambulance, you can see that's your first tab. It goes in alphabetical order. And this is what we are voting on during the budget process, the amount of money that will get infused into that individual fund to support the expenditures coming out of that fund. So you could see in 25, 26, if you go towards the bottom, the third row up, the CIP budget that we approved was 5.193. Also on this page, we're showing the debt. So this is where the Madison investment plan comes into play. So our goal was, because our debt is coming on board and we're going to have a lot of debt service, we're trying to balance that with money going into the capital improvement program to not have those big highs and lows in our actual budget that goes to the voters every year. So we planned for this. We knew in 2022 that we have some big projects coming up, and therefore we have some big debt annual debt service payments coming up. So we planned for that. We infused money into the capital improvement program. We also used grants, and we also built up our budget base so that we could absorb the increase in debt service and continue to be able to fund our 5-year CIP plan. So you can see on the bottom, what we're looking at is annual capital funding. It's not only CIP, it's also debt service, with the hopes. If you look at the CIP budget, we start with 5.193, and you could see it's going down for the 5 years. It goes down to 4.6 and 3.3, etc., because the debt service is going up in those years. So we planned on putting money into CIP, funding it at a lower level as our debt service rises, because our debt currently is at 2.9 million, but it's going up to, eventually it's going to get up annually to 7 million. But we didn't want that to hit the budget, so we've been proactive, and that's pretty much what the Madison investment plan is, funding the CIP so that we can continue to drop what's going into CIP as the debt grows, and then once the debt starts dropping off, we can grow our CIP budget higher, with the goal of increasing capital 4% a year. We wanted to protect capital, keep that aside, and not have operations impact capital and maintaining our infrastructure, as well as having capital impact our operating budget. And again, that was all part of the whole Madison investment plan idea premise. Yep. Any questions on that? Awesome. Oh, great. Okay. So next page, this is our total annual debt service, current, existing, as well as projected. So because of the referendums in fiscal year 2022, we are issuing bonds and notes going forward. We're not going to bond the complete $89 million of a school renewal plan until we need it. We don't want to start paying interest until we need it. So we basically draw down or sell bonds based on cash flows of the project. So this page is looking at the cash flows, projecting when we're going to issue bonds, and then looking at what our total projected debt service is by year. And again, you could see the first year, the total projected is at 2.9 that we saw on the previous page, and it does go up to, in 2033, to $7 million, 7.2, and then it starts to drop. So this is what our mortgage payments are, so to speak, or a projected annual debt service that will be included in the budget. And Kristen did a beautiful graph that shows existing and projected and by color.
Stacy, does existing include the bonds that were issued for Academy?
It does.
Okay.
Yes, we have already issued. What's that? Yeah, it's for everything. It's the senior centers coming forward. The ambulance is still there. We did some refunding. We issued some on the new school, as well as Brown, as well as Academy. So it's everything that we've issued so far, and then projected going forward in order to finish up the school renewal plan. But there are some old things that will eventually come off in a couple of years, old projects. Laura?
Yeah, just a question in terms of the school and the grants that will come forward. Is that in here as well?
Yes. So when we do the projections for the debt service, we are assuming we're getting the grant reimbursements. So we are bonding and projecting at a net bond issuance, net of the grant reimbursements.
Thank you.
Any other questions on this page?
Stacy, is the existing debt service for the fiscal year ending in 2026, which is what we're in now, does that include the debt that was just issued, the 45 million in notes and bonds?
No, that won't come in until next year. We didn't even issue that. We didn't even close yet, John. December 18th, we close. But it is in our projections. So it's in the red part, not the blue part.
I'd just like to, plan for the worst, hope for the best, and keep my budget intact.
The other item you'll see on the chart is our regulation. The Board of Finance does have a regulation about capping what we can actually have our annual debt service be, and you could see we're well below the regulation. Any other questions on debt service or annual capital funding in general? Okay. Okay, so the next page is something we added, I want to say 2 years ago. So these are projects that are currently open as well as projected, right, in our 5-year plan. So all of these projects were either in CIP prior or they're currently in CIP, and these are projects that were partially funded by grants or donations. We thought it was important to show that even though the total cost of the $114 million in projects, we're getting in grants and donations of about $50 million. If you look at ARPA and the grant column, it's we're close to $50 million of the 114 is funded by an outside source. This includes the schools. The numbers look big. It includes the Neck River School. It also includes the EOC. But yeah, you can go through and see how the great, news of getting grants to offset these projects. So because this is a 5-year plan, we do in our office, we look at a 10-year plan in order to fund, because we want to build up balances in all of our capital project funds for year 6 going forward as well. But we wanted to highlight some projects that are not yet included in the document, just so you know that these things are coming our way. So this page, I think, was new last year as well. So these are projects that we know are coming, but they have not made it into the 5-year plan. The goal, and you'll see in the regulation, for a new project, in a perfect world, any new project would come in year 5. However, that doesn't always happen because things come up and we have to put something in that we didn't necessarily plan, or something broke, or something's failing. So it may come in an earlier year. And so we wanted to include these as well, because if something moves forward quicker, there may be a chance that it could come in earlier than year 5, but who knows? Any questions on this one? Okay, so that was that tab. If you want, I don't have to go through all of the other tabs. I can show you one just to show you what each tab looks like. So this is the ambulance fund. So the top part are all the expenditures coming out, and that is all summarized on that first page that we talked about under public safety. And then on the bottom, you could see the annual capital budget. That was that page that showed the increase of 4% of CIP in debt, the page that I said I would put first. This is what's going into the ambulance fund. This is what we're anticipating going into the fund for the 5 years. It also shows the current year. And we're doing that, you could see, to build up balances to support the upcoming projects. So by building up and putting in and having a balance at the end of fiscal year 27, you see we have a balance of 431,000. We're able to do that ambulance replacement with cash money in our fund without having to budget for a big expenditure of 325,000. I think the illustration's better with a fire truck. When you have a big number, we're putting money in to save so that in year 5 we can purchase a fire truck with money that we've saved. So they're individual accounts set aside for expenditures within that fund. And this page is in every single one of the tabs going forward. You'll see page numbers next to each expenditure request, and there is a form for every single expenditure request. So you will see, if you go to the next page, for the paramedic response vehicle replacement, we ask all these questions. So before any project comes into CIP, the individual department has to fill out this form and submit it to the finance office so that we can pull them all together and put it on the summary. But these forms should help you try, if you have a question on any specific project, the form should have the information on it. In a perfect world, any project in 26-27 will have additional documentation supporting the cost because it's in year 1. So we ask anything in year 1 that we have additional information backing up those requests. And then in years 2 through 5, like I said before, they're kind of fluid out. It's a plan, it's a planning document, it can change. There's a form to tell you why we need it and how much we anticipate it costing. But as far as documentation, it's really hard to put a quote in of what's gonna happen 5 years from now. So every single tab has this summary page and a form behind every single project that is in the top part of the summary page. Any questions on that?
That's all of our meetings. So Stacy, if something comes in above what was, so you're saying if it's in the current year coming up, you hope they come to you with more of a final cost for the project, right?
Yep.
What happens when it comes in above what?
Yep.
What is
so
earmarked here?
So once the 26 budget is approved, we assume that the cost is the cost. If it does come in over, the individual departments will come to the boards. There absolutely is a process. They can't spend more than what was approved, and they will go to the Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, and ask for the additional funding. There's 2 ways that they can ask for the funding. They can ask for a special appropriation out of the undesignated fund balance, or they can ask to use the balance within the individual capital project fund. Does that answer your question?
What is the balance? So when you say they can use the balance within the...
So if you look at this page, the ambulance,
Yeah.
at the end of 25-26, at the bottom, we're anticipating $351,000 balance in there. Then we go to the next year and we have 93 coming out. We have 173 coming in. Now our balance is 431. If that 93 comes in higher.
Got it.
Yep. Any questions on the way the individual funds work? Okay, I'm not going to walk through every tab unless you want me to, but I will highlight that each tab pretty much goes the same way, and it also has the forms in there. So as you go through, you can see what's in each of the individual funds. The one fund that is a little unique from all of the other funds is the CNRE fund. And I'm sure you all heard about that fund a lot. And basically what that is, it's a catch-all for everything else that is not in an individual fund. So it's not for an ambulance, it's not for a fire truck, a town fleet vehicle. It's everything else that does not have its own individual funds. It's for new projects, it's for existing infrastructure, it's maintenance, big maintenance, roofs, it's those types of things. So CNRE kind of catches everything else that is not covered in its own individual fund. And if you want, I could show you CNRE. I don't have to do that tonight. Historically, what we have done, you could see on the calendar that we go through each of the tabs. We invite the departments in. For the ambulance, we will invite the ambulance to come in and talk about their requests. We will go through every individual fund, and then in CNRE, we will also invite in the staff who's responsible for that individual project. So at that point, we will be walking through each of these pages, each of the requests, the forms. So I don't know how much detail you want me to go into tonight, or if you want to wait and follow it through based on the calendar that we just approved. You tell me.
Laura has her hand raised.
Oh, sorry, I can't see everybody.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I think I mean I don't need you to do that for me. But in terms of inflation, what are you using for inflation, and has it changed for the outer years?
Yeah, so for the little individual funds that we try to, or the other funds other than the CNRE project, I think we use the rate of inflation. I think we use 2.6. It should be included in there. So for like we grew, for example, the price of the vehicles. We grew in technology,
2.6 escalation.
2.6 escalation, and it's noted on the actual summary. Yeah. So we use that. The individual projects, those are unique. The facilities department and the public works department, they'll be in there and they could tell you how those numbers were built. We just put the numbers in that they provided to us. But the other ones that are on a recurring basis, we built in a 2.6 escalation.
Okay.
So unless anybody wants me to go into any more detail, I think that pretty much summarizes the document. I think our first, after our public hearing, our first meeting on December 15th, we will invite the emergency services at 5:30. The emergency services, which will be the chief of police, the fire companies, the ambulance. So that'll be our first meeting, and we'll walk through those individual tabs, get everybody comfortable with the expenditure side at least, and then so on. You know, we'll go through the meetings, and then at the end of the workshops, that's when we'll probably look at the funding and see if when everything comes together, if it all makes sense and if you are comfortable. The committee does have the authority to move things out, to take things out, to move it from one year to another year, to prioritize. When we developed CIP, what now, 10 years? 10 years ago, it was developed to have an umbrella over all of the capital project funds. We always had, and Madison is great like this, and I'm not taking credit for it, we've always had the individual capital project funds and funding them and being able to pay cash for a lot of these large items like a fire truck, and not have to go out to bond or not have our mill rate spike because of the individual projects. And when we developed CIP, what it basically did is pull all of these capital project funds together so that you can see and make decisions. Is a fire truck more important than mini golf. I don't know. So you're able to look at everything holistic and see the entire picture before we begin the operating part of the budget process. Because this is a huge piece of the total budget. So by doing all of this before, it's then brought up to the Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, so that they will have this document, your recommendation, looking at that at the same time as looking at the operating budget that is submitted to the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Ed, that ultimately goes to the Board of Finance. Any questions for me?
This is Jessica Joseph. I apologize for not having my video on for most of the time, but I just wanted to say, as a newcomer, this was extremely helpful. I did get the package and was able to read through it, but just hearing the background and process is fantastic. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank
For an
you.
old comer as well.
Okay, then I'm going to stop talking, I think.
Stacy, sometimes in the past, our newcomers have asked if we have a target number we're trying to get to, as opposed to just looking at individual projects.
Yeah, I think the important thing is the whole Madison investment plan right now, trying to keep, everything steady. I think we've done a lot of planning for the capital, but in the end, when we pull all that together with the operating budget, I think that's going to be the complete picture to see what we want to move forward through the boards and to the public for a public vote. So we don't really necessarily have a number out there. I think by you all looking at the projects, identifying ones that are priorities that you think should be for the town. I think that's really the goal of the program, and making sure our balance is there to support not only year one, but also projected requests in years 2 through 5 as well. So there's really not a number, but it's just making sure it all comes together at the end.
But is your target going to be like that 4% increase every year? Like,
That
is that a number? So if we were to strive for something, I guess the question is, once all the requests come in, and then we need to maybe prioritize, is that the number we sort of go against, that we don't want to go above that 4%? Like, how do we know if we're over what we want to be at, I guess is the question.
Okay, so the Madison investment plan really brought us to that 4%. So the boards, everybody was involved when we said, okay, we want to continue to grow capital and not have capital impacted by operating. So that 4% was a number that we were using as a goal to grow total capital. So that's the total CIP and debt, knowing that debt is not negotiable.
Right.
So we planned for it the way that your document is right now. It works. Funding it at that 4%, everything is in balance and everything works. If you come to the end and you decide to move things out, we certainly can do that. But the total capital funding, the plan is to keep that growth at 4%, and that's the way the document is working right now. Does that make sense?
Sure. I guess at the end, when we're prioritizing, that's when you would say, look, we're over where we might need to be, or okay.
Yeah, if it doesn't work, we will definitely, we'll tell you. We like things to balance. And,
Janet, I
the
think you raise a
committee,
good point. As we listen to the presenters, all of these projects sound quite meritorious.
Right.
But we've all accepted the assignment at times of having to say no. And so this process forces us to be practical and pragmatic and hard-headed. And at times, this committee amongst itself has some lively discussions about whether or not something should continue to be included.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, looking at the balances at the end, I mean, right now the document works, and you all are going to hear from everybody to see what projects are in there, why the request, the dollar amount. If you're not comfortable with the ending balances within that fund, or you think that we should hold off, it's not a priority in the next 5 years, that's what you all are going to be discussing. We could push projects out. But the funding, as of right now, the funding will go in to the funds based on the Madison investment plan unless we get to the operating budget and we have to make different decisions at that point. But right now, the funding will be the way it is. It all is balanced. But if you decide to move projects forward or out, that's in your purview. So I think that's all I have. So I could pass it back off to Bob.
Okay, great. Thank you so much again, Stacy. And again, the time that you spent organizing this and creating this book has been tremendous, and I really appreciate all the time that you've done. Item number 4 is the discussion regarding the public hearing. And I guess, Stacy, you want to also have the floor back to review this?
Sure. So basically it's 6:30 on Wednesday. It's going to present those summary pages that are in here. So it's before this public hearing is before you guys start your work. So it's basically telling everybody this is where we're starting, this is what it looks like, and here we're beginning. So those we will pull together a PowerPoint very similar to prior years. And Bob, you're welcome to do the presentation. If you don't want to, I certainly can do it this round because it basically is what we just did, just on slides. And then going forward, that public hearing at the end will be the results of the committee. And I'm sure that one you would definitely want to present.
Sounds great. Thank you. Anything else on item number 4?
Is that a hybrid, a public hearing? Or is it all in person? It is hybrid. Hybrid. Oh, and before I forget, I'm sorry, Bob, I don't want to go off track, but all of these meetings are Zoom. Is everybody still comfortable with all of these meetings being Zoom? Okay.
Yes.
You don't want to see me at 7:30 in the morning in person.
Okay, then we should move on to item number 5, which are citizen comments. Is there anyone on the line?
I do not have any public members on here.
Okay. Then the last item is a motion to adjourn, which I'll accept.
So moved.
Is there a second? All right. Thank you all for your work and looking forward to getting together and going over some really, really interesting work with all of you. And I'm excited about chairing for the first time. And I hope that we can work together well. I'm sure we will. Thank you all and have a great night.
Thanks,
Thank
Bob.
you.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye.